Ladies and gentlemen, I have never felt so vindicated in my entire life. We have the representation, the head of the snake, yes, the head of the largest coalition, or the second largest coalition in the United States, the Democrat Party, has officially sided with this woke mob. Yes, this mob that is coming after Tucker Carlson and people like Nick Fuentes for their free speech. Now, Tucker Carlson, of course, this was a huge story, was it 2-3 weeks ago, when he interviewed this young man by the name of Nick Fuentes, who has a lot of very edgy views on the country of Israel and its relationship with the United States. After this interview, there was an uproar on not just those on the left, but those on the right as well, because it does seem very taboo for anyone to explore the topic and be critical, or explore the topic with a critical eye, of what exactly is the relationship between the United States and Israel. And this is something that Tucker Carlson has been doing for a while now. He's been kind of asking questions on this. And of course, Nick Fuentes is a wildly popular live streamer who talks about this stuff all the time. And while there was many people on the right who were already putting Tucker Carlson in the crosshairs, they were already kind of, slinging things out at him from the other side of the fence. This gave them a chance to come at him full-throated and attempt to cancel him, put institutional support behind it. Of course, we all know the story with the Heritage Foundation, where the president refused to bow down, refused to disavow Tucker Carlson, and he was put through a struggle session where he eventually apologized, and he apologized for nothing whatsoever. And it's just become a huge thing. And I like to call this the woke mob. There are individuals on the right, and I can name a few of them, people like Ted Cruz, Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, Officer Tatum, some of these individuals that are trying to shut down any sort of critical conversation about the country of Israel. And has now reached a pinnacle to where Chuck Schumer, the leader of the Senate minority, he came out on the floor of Congress, and now he is trying to force the hand of President Trump and everyone in Congress to condemn not just Nick Fuentes, but to condemn Tucker Carlson as well. He's pushing for a resolution, and this is actually unprecedented. This has never happened before, and I find this very concerning. And what you'll hear in the language that he uses in this speech he gives is he wants people to condemn anti-Semitism. He wants people to condemn this racism and anti-Semitism. Now, that might sound logical to the average person. Like, of course, people shouldn't be anti-Semitic. People shouldn't be racist. But first of all, we have free speech. That's number one. We have a First Amendment. Second of all, the stuff that they are classifying anti-Semitism is not anti-Semitism. If you ever inspect the bar that they use for an anti-Semite, it will blow you away. Simply saying something like, Israel, we should stop sending money to Israel, or I disagree with Israel and their occupation of Gaza, something like that. Stuff like that would classify someone as an anti-Semite, and it does to a lot of very prominent people. Case in point, Tucker Carlson. Now, that guy is about as amicable, I guess is the word, amicable as possible. I mean, there's not a nicer guy you could find in media than Tucker Carlson. He has simply touched on the topic a few times, and he has been labeled an anti-Semite. But listen to what Chuck Schumer had to say on the floor of Congress, trying to force the hand of everyone in Congress to condemn Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, and I believe as a result, to leverage support to shut down free speech for a couple very specific individuals. Take a listen.
And finally, on anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism in America has reached a dangerous tipping point. Jewish Americans are facing threats, harassment, and violence at levels we have not seen in generations. And as I have said many times in this chamber, anti-Semitism is the canary in the coal mine. Where there's anti-Semitism, there lurks white supremacy and other pernicious forms of hate. Well, 3 days ago, the President of the United States declined to condemn Nick Fuentes' hateful views and defended Tucker Carlson's decision to give Fuentes a platform.
Oh, the horror. Donald Trump. This is almost exactly the same as what happened to the president of the Heritage Foundation. Kevin Roberts, the president of the Heritage Foundation, after he refused to condemn Tucker Carlson, he came out and he said, listen, I'm America first, America always. I'm a Christian man. We're a Christian nation. We believe in open debate, open discourse. And he was condemned for that. That is essentially what Donald Trump said. He said, you can't tell Tucker Carlson who to interview. And now he's acting like this is a moral outrage because Donald Trump is standing by the First Amendment, standing by the spirit of what it means to be an American. And he dares to have the balls to go on the Congress floor of our United States of America and pretend like this is an American outrage and that all of the representatives in the United States and in the Senate should come together, band together, and drop the hammer down on these two journalists, these two podcasters. One's a streamer, one's a journalist who's been on Fox News, very well known, because he doesn't like what they say about a foreign country that is not the United States of America. Come on.
The president was asked about his thoughts on the interview. He declined to condemn Nick Fuentes. That is disgusting. For Donald Trump to excuse and protect the spread of Nick Fuentes' ideology confirms what many of us have long said. White supremacy and anti-Semitism are taking deep roots, unfortunately, within the Republican Party. I hope my Republican colleagues will join me in this effort and co-sponsor this resolution. Calling out anti-Semitism should not be a partisan issue.
Okay, so you get it here. He is putting forth a resolution in order to condemn these two individuals. Extremely, in my opinion, this is absolutely anti-American, and this stands alone in stuff that has happened in Congress. Listen, Nick Fuentes, to this day, he still has to sell his merch. He has a merch store, and he's not able to find any credit card processors to sell things like hats and T-shirts. He's an American citizen. He lives in Chicago, and the guy can't even find a bank that's willing to allow him to sell hats and T-shirts on his live streams. He's got to use cryptocurrency. And the reason for that is because these banks got pressured by institutions like the ADL and the Media Matters and, all of these institutions that hold some clout, and they will hold they hold leverage on some of these organizations. They'll threaten to expose them for, being involved in bed with an anti-Semite. This is what they're trying to do now to Tucker Carlson too, and anyone who dares approach this subject, because what bigger institution is there than the United States Congress? They pass a resolution condemning Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes together. They lump them together. And then all of a sudden, this gives ammo to all these institutions to start banning them from polite society, from being able to access these tools that we all take for granted. And, it's just very, very dangerous, in my opinion. But this is what Chuck Schumer tweeted out. At the same time, I'm leading a resolution in the Senate to reject Nick Fuentes and his white supremacist views. Anti-Semitism and white supremacy have growing and disturbing currency within the right. This is not true. People on the right are now starting to wonder exactly what is going on with the nation of Israel. And we as Americans have every right to criticize it, every right to know about it, because we are sending this country billions upon billions of dollars. And just like any other country, if we are protecting them, we should have the right to inspect it, to learn about it, to know about it, to ask why. It's very, very odd how when you start doing that, you start being accused of being the worst things in the world. And once you can start getting accused of this thing, all of a sudden you start having all of this giant spotlight put on you, and it's just smear campaigns. You have these really large, prominent people trash talking you, pushing you out of the circle, saying that you're disgusting, anti-Semite, you're full of hate, you're crazy, you're losing your mind. It's like, what did I ever do? I'm seeing this stuff happen to Tucker Carlson, to people like Nick Fuentes, to Candace Owens, to people like Dave Smith. And it's very concerning to me because it's not a right or left issue. This is a faction of people on the right in the Republican Party like Mark Levin, Ted Cruz, and then people on the left like Chuck Schumer. It's not a right or left issue. This goes beyond. This is like a bipartisan issue. Then he ends it, we must all condemn anti-Semitism and white supremacy whenever it occurs. And I just want to show you exactly who Chuck Schumer is. This is Chuck Schumer and what he's had to say about Israel in the past. You know, when we have people in Congress who say that they are serving Israel, that they are the servant of Israel. We just had, what's his face, the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams. He went to Israel and he told Israelis while he was there, he said, when I was in office, I served you. And this is Chuck Schumer in the past. Take a listen to this.
For as long as I live, for as long as I have the privilege of serving in the Senate from New York, I will unflinchingly, unstintingly, and with all of my strength be Shomer Yisrael, a guardian of Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, Am Yisrael Chai. In Israel and America, the Jewish nation lives now and forever.
See, and this is why it's perfectly reasonable for young people to ask questions. What exactly is this, okay? Because we don't understand. Can we please have an explanation as to why a lot of our leaders are so taken, so enthralled by Israel? Because we've never gotten a direct explanation. When we try to talk about it, when we get critical of it, we get called horrible things. And unprecedented things happen, like the Senate Minority Leader goes on the floor of Congress and leads a resolution to condemn people who even get close to the topic. This is unprecedented. I asked Grok this. If you trust Grok, I tend to have some pretty good results with Grok. I said, has there ever been a resolution against a private American citizen in Congress? And this is what Grok said. No, there has never been a congressional resolution passed against a private American citizen. Congressional resolutions typically serve to express sentiments, set internal rules, or address foreign policy in public matters, but they do not target or condemn individual private citizens due to constitutional constraints, including the prohibition on bills of attainder, Article 1, Section 9 of the U.S. Constitution, which bars legislative punishment of specific persons without judicial process. Resolutions involving individuals are almost exclusively supportive, e.g. calling for the release of detained U.S. citizens abroad or related to public officials. So this is something that is quite literally unprecedented. This has never happened before. And you have people like Mark Levin coming after people like Megyn Kelly, who's like the most moderate person in the entire world, calling her a Nazi and anti-Semite. This is something that Megyn Kelly is lamenting, because why wouldn't you? I mean, Megyn Kelly has been on Fox News, or she was on Fox News for, what, decades? Mainstream cable television for decades. She's one of the biggest supporters of Israel. And the second she has an ounce of criticism for the nation, she gets labeled by Mark Levin as a disgusting anti-Semite, Nazi. Listen to Megyn Kelly talk about this to Buck Sexton here. She is just flummoxed. She doesn't know what to think.
If you really think that Nazism has taken over America, you belong in a straitjacket in a rubber room. Like, you need a lot of help.
Literally, Mark Levin was calling me a Nazi 2 weeks ago. That term is grossly overused. Whoa. It is a joke now. And because of fuckers like him, they've taken a term that has actual teeth to it, and they're working on diminishing that one too. It used to be a leftist tactic with the word racist and bigot. Now it's a right-wing tactic. But
it absolutely is. It's a ever-expanding, elastic term, the term anti-Semite. I think that's the one that's being used the most by this faction, because it's such a trigger word. No one wants to be an anti-Semite. Just like back in the day, no one wants to be racist. And it's a term to smear someone without addressing any of their arguments, any of what they are saying. It's just a term to push someone out of the circle, push someone out of polite society without ever having to explain why. And the funny thing about this is, after this all kind of backfired on Mark Levin, because even President Trump is refusing to condemn Tucker Carlson, which is something that this woke right faction is lamenting. They are not happy with this, and they're kind of begrudgingly refusing to comment on it, or trying to say that, oh yeah, I agreed with Trump the whole time. But Mark Levin is kind of backpedaling just a little bit after this happened. And after Megyn Kelly said she was called a Nazi by Mark Levin, now Mark Levin is trying to say, oh, no, I never called you a Nazi. I never called you an anti-Semite, because they know this type of reaction makes him look crazy. But in fact, he did. It's on video. This is what Mark Levin said. Now, Megyn, I never called you a Nazi and I never called you an anti-Semite, which you accused me of saying as well. Your awfully defensive serial lying is not a great trait, Megyn, but you are a crackpot. Excuse me? So this is what's rich about this kind of stuff. And this is the kind of stuff you got to look out for these types of people, because they don't have any sort of adherence to the truth. They don't care about the truth. They will lie just as easily as they tell the truth, as long as it advances their agenda. It's absolutely disgusting. So he tries to gaslight Megyn Kelly, trying to say that, oh, I never called you a Nazi or anti-Semite. And this is what Megyn Kelly says. She said, you absolutely did. You lying POS. So this is, I mean, they're just going back and forth. But imagine you're in an argument with someone and they're accusing you of something horrible. And you're like, what are you talking about? I didn't do this horrible thing. And then when they backpedal, they try to say, oh, I never accused you of that. Wouldn't you be upset? And this is where Megyn Kelly is. She said, you absolutely did. You lying POS, Mark Levin. You won't be happy until you get someone killed, because his rhetoric that Mark Levin and these other people like Ted Cruz, Ben Shapiro, they're using kind of similar rhetoric. It's very inflammatory rhetoric. It's just like the left used against Donald Trump to smear him as everything under the sun that's negative. They use the absolute most extreme words to try to out these people, put these people into an out group where no one listens to them. Everyone thinks that they are just raging lunatics. But she provided some proof of Mark Levin calling her these horrible things. And take a listen to this.
I don't know where this is going. I don't know where this Jew hatred from the Marxists, the Islamists, the neo-Nazis, the grifters, I don't know where they're pulling us and pushing us. What do they want to do with American Jews? What do they want to do? Where are they taking this country? They're destroying it. Carlson, Owens, Kelly, Bannon, the rest of them, and others.
Carlson, Owens, Kelly, Bannon. So after saying Jew haters, anti-Semite, neo-Nazis, and all these other things, who does he put into that basket? Carlson, Megyn, all these others. And he tries to lie and say, oh, I never called you these things. What are you talking about? I would never. Because he knows he looks insane. And this is not an isolated incident. This is a common thing to happen with any of these right-wing individuals who have large followings. They are afraid to even approach the topic because they are afraid of stuff like this. They are afraid of being pushed out. They are afraid of losing their jobs. I know this. I know some people in media, and it's very interesting what people will say on the camera versus over the phone. They have a lot more to say. You might think it's their, unflinching opinion, what they're talking about in the camera. But a lot of these people, I would say the majority of them, are biting their tongues when it comes to this topic. And I've seen it over and over and over. I won't do that. And then he just goes on. He tries to gaslight her once again, saying that, no, I was calling you a grifter. But I just played for you the clip so you can decide for yourself. I don't think there is any doubt what he was saying. These people have no shame. They will lie to your face. In order for you to become unpalatable to, I guess, the rest of society because you dare approach this topic. And young people have had enough of this. When they see their leaders go to this foreign country, it's leader after leader after leader. It's people in the Trump administration, it's people, Democrats, it's Republicans. It's a lot of these people flying to a foreign country, kissing this wall. They have the right to know what is going on. They have a right to ask questions. What is happening with this? When they see people like the mayor of New York City going to Israel, and this is the video I referenced earlier, going to Israel and saying while he was in office in the United States of America in New York City, going to a foreign country and saying he served Israelis? Young people have the right to ask questions. Listen to this.
My male team here in Israel, and as I finish, I wanted to come back here to Israel and let you know that I serve you as the mayor but I want to continue to have the title that's more important to me than anything. I'm your brother. Thank you.
So you see why people have questions. You see why our young people are like, what's going on here? Can't we have questions? Are we allowed to ask what's happening here? What is this? I would like to know. Why is it not taboo to fly over to another country and say you served that country? Don't you find something odd about that? If it were any other country, wouldn't you find something odd about that? And these younger people, they don't have the hang-up some of the other people do. They're asking these legitimate questions, and when they get put into this box and labeled and yelled at, accused of being these terrible things, bigots and anti-Semites and crazy, and, oh, don't worry about that. Oh, we just have to support Israel unflinchingly. When they just say, just trust it. It's a good idea. We have to. Don't worry about it. What do you think these young people are going to do? They're going to turn to other people who explore the topic and who say, listen, I don't care what I'm called. And this is someone like Nick Fuentes. I don't care what I'm called. Here, I'll show you what's up. I'll show you what's going on. And then people gravitate around that because they have someone that actually explains it, explains the issues. But instead of trying to engage with that person like Tucker Carlson or Nick Fuentes, they go onto the House floor, the floor of Congress, the Senate floor, like Chuck Schumer, introduces a resolution to condemn a U.S. citizen. That's what he believes is the remedy for all of this. Instead of engaging with this stuff, coming up with arguments, debating, discussing ideas, the remedy is to shut someone down. The second largest institution on earth, in my opinion, is the Democrat Party, and he wants it to be a co-resolution with the Republican Party as well, all against two individuals instead of talking about this stuff. How ridiculous is that? I think it's crazy, guys. I think it's crazy. But what do you think about this whole situation? Let me know your opinions. I won't shut you down. I won't call you any horrible things. You can call me horrible things if you want down in the comments. I'm sure some people will, but it's okay. But let me know what you think down below in the comments. Like and subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. But until then, I'll see you on the next one.